Welcome back, everyone. We sincerely apologize. We had technical difficulties, but we are back. We're back with our special guest, Olivia Taylor. And before the camera cut out, we were talking about the sacrifices that she had to make and she is still making in ministry. So, Olivia, I'll let you go ahead and pick up from there. Just continue to let us know what sacrifices you had to make in order to allow God to expand you in His kingdom.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely another sacrifice. I was kind of talking about like time is a big sacrifice, but the material things that I've sacrificed is if I were to become an environmental engineer, which was what I was pursuing before I knew God, I would be making a lot of money.
Okay.
A lot of money, and kind of a way that I chose that path for me before I knew God was because of the money. So I was like, engineers make great money. They can provide for their family. They can make sure their kids go to college. Like, I have always been that person who thinks way ahead. And like I said before, I always wanted to be a mom, so I was already thinking about my children. But as I'm in ministry, I won't be quite making that amount that I would be making if I was an engineer, at least not in right now. Who knows what God will do. But yeah, so that's definitely a sacrifice that I gave up. But like I was saying, that these sacrifices that I have faced, like relationships or money or doing whatever I wanted to do, just whatever my flesh wanted to do, just be my own person and make my own decisions and kind of get that satisfaction in that moment, whatever it may be. It's all been nothing compared to what God is doing. Just
Amen.
in the world and through my life, being obedient towards Him, I've seen countless people like know who Jesus is. They get to meet the love of the Lord and actually have a life with Him on earth. Like, they don't just have to wait until heaven. And that's something else. Like, we don't have to just wait until heaven to experience the fullness of God. We can do it on earth when we walk with Him. And so that has definitely been something God has been showing me personally in my walk. But I've also been able to see girls that I've discipled and mentored, them experience that too. And that has been way worth it. Like, nothing that I sacrifice is anything compared to what God is doing.
That is so true.
Yeah.
That's so true. So, you mentoring young ladies, tell me about that experience. I know that, in mentorship, there's always somebody that you carry them. You carry them in your heart. Can you think of someone that you may have carried in a situation where it may have caused you to give more of yourself?
Yeah, so many girls.
So many.
God is so good. Man, one that I can think of right now is a great friend of mine, Lyra Collins. She is an amazing woman of God. I think she's 21 years old. Yes, 21 years old. And it's so funny because I say that like, oh, she's a baby, but I'm only 22. I feel 30 like most of the time. But yeah, she's an amazing woman of God. I met her on the campus a couple years back, and she's a part of our campus ministry. I'm a part of the ministry Every Nation, and we have a campus ministry at UNT called Every Nation Campus. And she got plugged into the ministry, got radically saved, set free, has a heart for the Lord, has a heart for discipleship and for leadership and ministry.
Amen.
She's amazing. And she was not a girl that the Lord sent for me to disciple, to sit down with and read the Word with. But just recently, God has really built our friendship and grew us closer. And I've realized that she has a lot of similarities that I have, like the same struggles, like we both go through it. But the Lord is faithful to carry me through it first, and then I'm going back to share with her, okay, Luke, this is what we need to do. This is what you need to do. And so, yeah, she is someone I'm constantly on the phone with, constantly meeting with for lunch, and the Lord is just able to use me to pour into her, to encourage her. And yeah, I'm able to walk with her and just see her life and how the Lord is using her. And it's really cool.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. And I bet it is. I bet it's cool. So let's talk about moments of brokenness. Because we know this. Whenever we walk with God and we especially begin to launch out in ministry, begin to connect with other people. And it doesn't have to have something to do with other people, but we know that we go through brokenness. Do you have an example of brokenness that you have experienced? Where it was just you and God? That moment where you knew, okay, God, it's just going to take you at this point.
Yeah, that's good. Definitely going back to like my testimony of salvation. Before knowing the Lord, I was very broken, very heartbroken. There was a lot in my life that was going on. It seemed like it was all at the same time. So, yeah, like I mentioned before, I have a great relationship with my parents now, but it's been a journey, definitely. It's a huge testimony. When I was 14, my parents got divorced, and my dad was deployed to Afghanistan around the same time, and my only brother, who's 4 years older than me, went to college that year, and it was about like 4 hours away, so we didn't see him that often. And because my mom was like a new single mother, she had to work 2 jobs, and so I was often like by myself a lot. If I wasn't in school, she would come home at night, but by the time she came home, I was sleeping already because she just got off work, and it was hard for the both of us. But in that, I just felt really broken. I didn't know God. I grew up in church, but I didn't know Him. I didn't know that He healed. I didn't know that He loved me. And so I just felt like I was carrying a lot of depression, a lot of loneliness, just feeling like I was unloved, just feeling like I was forgotten. And God was so faithful, because when I came to UNT, that's when I got plugged into the campus ministry there. But I just remember sitting down in a one-to-one discipleship meeting with the woman who discipled me, and just reading scripture over me. Like just seeing God's love like jump off of the pages. And it was a scripture that says, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest."
Yes.
And that was the first time I ever read that, but it just spoke to me. And it just like broke me even more. And I felt like God was like wanting to heal me. I already felt my heart getting sewn up. And